From Nutrien Ag Solutions, this is Senior Meteorologist Andrew Pritchard with your Canadian Prairie weather story for Monday, April 18th, 2022. Checking in with temperatures across the Canadian Prairie provinces here. Across the Prairie, temperatures generally a couple of degrees below the freezing mark there, below zero. Coldest where we've got that fresh snowpack across southeast Saskatchewan into southern portions of Manitoba. We can see that fresh snowpack, or the precipitation path, I guess, of that storm system here. As we look at the last 7 days of precipitation, this is where we had that core of heavy snow, blizzard-like conditions from parts of the northern plains of the U.S. into southeast Saskatchewan, central and southern Manitoba. Checking in with soil temperatures here. We're looking at those 4-inch soil temperatures. They are starting to thaw across portions of central and southern Alberta along the Saskatchewan-Alberta border. Still frozen here, of course, where we have the snowpack. You head off to the east. As we check in with the latest drought monitor here across Canada, across portions of Alberta and Saskatchewan, again along that border where we're seeing the extreme drought, patchy, the red shading there, that's D3. Extreme drought. The drought fades a bit as you head off to the east into the lower categories, but still dealing with a little dryness just about everywhere here as we trudge through middle April. We'll look at the satellite picture here. Infrared satellite. We're kind of sandwiched between waves. We've got a disturbance here that's pulling off to the east. You can see the center of circulation kind of down here. It's a bit of a disorganized wave here with a front that extends all the way down into the central United States. We've got another system here off to the west, this one blasting portions of British Columbia and the Pacific Northwest with a lot of heavy precipitation here as we get the week started. We'll see that when we flip over and look at the radar. Quiet across the prairie, but a lot of activity as you look off to the south and to the west of us here, kind of in the Vancouver area, south along the coast there from Washington into Oregon. Now we'll look at the NAM model. The NAM, of course, starting off on Monday morning with quiet conditions across the entire prairie. Maybe some flurries off to the north, but as we saw on the satellite and on the radar picture, it's a quiet start to the week across the prairie provinces. We've got a disturbance that makes its way in here as we get into the day on Tuesday, emerging from west to east Tuesday through Wednesday. This is going to bring a little light snow generally to areas north of the Highway 16 corridor. Light amounts possible south of that, but the accumulating snow on the order of 10 to 20 centimeters is going to be found closer to Highway 16 in the north from there. So here's what it looks like Tuesday morning. Snow starts to emerge in the west. And then as we get into Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening, and now this would be the Tuesday overnight, we've got snow kind of spread across the Highway 16 corridor from Alberta into Saskatchewan and then off into central and southern portions of Manitoba. The center of circulation really something like this. We've got a front that extends off to the south from there, flow coming in around the backside of this. Could see some gusty winds out of the northwest as this system passes through here midweek as well. So here we go, sunrise on Monday morning, snow tapering off on Wednesday across Alberta, tapering off on across Saskatchewan as we get into Wednesday afternoon, and then the snow begins to come to an end in Manitoba as we get into Wednesday and Thursday. Then we find ourselves between waves again. It'll be a quiet end to the week as we get into Thursday and Friday, and then we've got a bigger system to watch as we get into the weekend. So here's your snowfall forecast between now, Monday morning, and midday on Thursday. This factors in your Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday storm system here. Really Tuesday, Wednesday, tapering off by Thursday here. And again, north of Highway 16, near Highway 16, that's what we're talking about, 10, 15 centimeters, maybe 20 centimeters in some spots. And then as you get south of Highway 16, it's not impossible. You know, we could pick up a trace to maybe upwards of 5 centimeters, maybe locally higher amounts there south of Highway 16 as well. Now again, I mentioned that we've got a late week system to talk about. So here is your total snowfall forecast. Let me get jumped ahead here. This is what I'm really looking for. I want to show you the next 10 days. We've talked about the next few days, what we've got here midweek, but I'm showing you the next 10 days from the European on the left, GFS on the right. Big difference here. You see a big storm. We're talking about another significant disruptive winter storm potentially as we get into the weekend. But as we look at the GFS, the storm taking a much more narrow and northerly track, whereas the, I think I may have misspoke, that's the Euro on the left, the GFS here on the right, with the much more widespread, much more east-west oriented snow swath here that really gives a significant helping of snow to just about everybody. Unfortunately, this is the take that I have a little more skepticism about. This is the take that I have a little bit more confidence in, but neither take is going to be exactly right because we're still 6 days away from this storm system. So these are great tools. They give us an early idea. We're dealing with a weekend system, but far from set in stone here how this thing works out. Now, what's the difference? Well, let's take a look at the European model here. We're looking at the 500 millibar height anomalies. This will help us understand the pattern as we head through the next 5 days. And again, it's one that continues to be progressive, unblocked, very active. It's just a matter of cashing in on the systems. But the jet stream continues to be very fluid and continues to move right along. So I mentioned as we look at the satellite picture here early in this video, we're between waves here. So here's that lead wave. Here is the incoming wave. In between that, we've got some ridging, high pressure, quiet conditions across the Prairie provinces for our Monday. Now here comes the little wave, a little piece of this bigger trough off to the west, breaks off and kind of ejects across the Prairie midweek. Tuesday, Wednesday, this is your snow heaviest near and north of Highway 16 from this wave right here as we go through Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll take this into the end of the week, a little ridging in between. We're still dealing with this big trough off to the west, but we're starting to see this eject now across the western United States. Again, ridging in advance of that, but as we get into the weekend, that's when this wave then finally makes its way, ejects across the Rockies into the northern plains of the United States, and then potentially, we've got some big ridging across the eastern U.S. into portions of eastern Canada, and that helps kind of force this trough, force this ejecting wave northward into the Prairie versus, what we've seen over and over again through the winter into the early spring, which is these stronger waves diving south into the central United States. So the northward lift here, the northeast track, that's what helps bring some snow in here on the north side of this storm system. Across Saskatchewan into Manitoba, maybe getting you there in Alberta. Here's the difference when we look at the GFS on the left, the European model on the right. The GFS, you see this much broader area of snow-oriented east-west. On the European model on the right, a much more tight circulation here and a little bit less in the way of that east-west orientation. So you still get a significant disruptive storm. You still get some heavy snowfall, but it's more concentrated in a localized area, and it's not in southern Alberta, in southwest Saskatchewan here, where we could, help ease some of the moisture concerns. So GFS on the left, European here on the right. Again, you see the differences there in the track of the heaviest snow. The hole here that's left by the European model over the same areas that we've continued to see be left out. We can kind of use the ensembles here to get a little more confidence here. Should we buy into the widespread Alberta to Manitoba snow swath, or is it more likely at this point, we're still talking low confidence 5-6 days out there, but what are the ensembles suggesting? And unfortunately, when we kind of look at this, you do see the more likely scenario as we digest this. This is the probability of getting 3 inches or more of total snowfall between now and next Monday, April 25th. The red shading here is where you're getting closer to 90 to 100%, pretty high confidence. And as we look at both models, the GFS on the left, you see that high confidence swath. We look at the European on the left, or on the right, I'm sorry. Again, I'll sip some more coffee, get my left rights, my east-wests down here as we head through the rest of my Monday. But as we kind of zero in on this, where's the high confidence between both models? It's further to the east. It's across eastern Saskatchewan, southeast Saskatchewan, getting into portions of central and southern Manitoba. Where do we see the lower confidence? Well, as we look at both models here, it's right across southern Alberta into southwest Saskatchewan on both here, the GFS and the European model. The GFS, of course, a little more optimistic, but as you look at the shading here, we're still talking about anywhere from 20 to 40% confidence in getting that 3 inches of snow. And then the European model here with the goose egg here in some areas up to maybe 10 to 20%. So we've got a big storm we're going to be looking for here as we get toward the end of the week into the weekend. We've got high confidence in that. And at days 5-6 out, we're talking about higher confidence in that heavy snow, in that disruptive storm system, those impacts being across eastern Saskatchewan, central and southern Manitoba, much of the same areas that were just hit last week. Couple differences here. We look at the European now on the left, the GFS on the right. The overall pattern here as we get into next weekend, pretty good agreement there. We've got that the lead wave is way off over the Atlantic now. We've got the ejecting wave kind of in two pieces, a little southern component to that, the big ridge across eastern Canada into the United States, ridging on the back side of that. This next wave off the into the Gulf of Alaska. But the difference is here, 5 days out, the European model here, just a little weaker with the wave, a little more open. The GFS, a bit stronger with that wave. I know these differences are subtle here and maybe stand out to me a little bit more, but as we look at the GFS, this is a much stronger, much tighter, compact system here, so you get a bigger impact. It's a little, again, stronger and further to the north, and you get that widespread snow swath. You're also getting some stronger flow coming around the backside here up against the Rockies to, again, bring higher confidence and some snow into southern Alberta, with the European being a little weaker with the wave, a little more open, just kind of allows for that more narrow band of snow closer to the low, the track of the low, which right now would keep that in southeast Saskatchewan, central and southern Manitoba. So I'm getting wordy here on a very low confidence forecast, but just to let you know, I've got high confidence in another disruptive storm as we get toward the end of the week. I've got higher confidence in that heavy snow being off to the east across eastern Saskatchewan into central and southern Manitoba. Bigger question marks as we watch this one, in southern Alberta, hoping to tap into perhaps some of that moisture as we get into the weekend. So we'll try and wrap up quickly here and get through the precipitation forecast to show you the two storms that we're watching over the next 5 to 10 days. Again, quiet Monday. Here is your Tuesday into Wednesday storm system, bringing that 5 to 15, maybe 20 centimeters of snow generally to the Highway 16 and North Corridor. Lighter amounts as you get off to the south. Gusty northwest winds on the backside of that storm. Quiet Thursday. Quiet as we get into Friday. Here comes the next system. Again, it ejects across the Rockies and then lifts to the north. This is the European model's take. High impacts here Saturday into Sunday. Strong winds, heavy snowfall. Again, over the next few days, we'll sort out the confidence or sort out the location of the heaviest snow. But right now, looking like a southeast Saskatchewan, central and southern Manitoba event, at least as far as the highest impacts would go. Temperatures are going to be a bit on the colder side with this pattern. Again, we continue to work troughing in to our south. That is going to be pulling colder air in from the north. So at times, maybe not frigid, but certainly as we look at the next 10 days, we're not talking about any sort of rapid warm-up anywhere. We're just talking about, again, shots of cooler air and then maybe a gradual warm-up as we get into the later part of the week. Temperatures getting back into the lower to middle teens in Calgary. Again, this is as we get into next week, though. Those highs going to be in the single digits through much of this week. Saskatoon, looking at highs generally in the mid-single digits. Regina, a little colder. We got that snow. We may be looking at more snow as we get into the end of the week. And in Winnipeg off to the east, you're going to be seeing those shots of colder. Those overnight lows, again, dropping. This is another indication of that renewed fresh snowpack across the region. So there you have it. Again, a bit of a rambly forecast there, looking like a dose of snow in the next 60 to 72 hours. Quiet end of the week, and then another big storm to watch out for as we get into the weekend.